We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change.
All right, everybody, I am on the sideline of the 2018 API Policy Summit, and I'm joined by the co-organizers of this wonderful event, Kat New and Jenny Bach, right next to me. And I'm really excited about this interview in particular because I want to get the background story of how this policy summit, which used to happen and then didn't happen for 6 years, came back into our lives and and that's the reason why we got a chance to be able to talk to so many people here at this event. So Kat, Jenny, thank you for joining the podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So before we get into the meat of our discussion, I do want to kind of get your personal story a little bit, just very basic about where you came from, how did you grow up, where did you grow up, that kind of a thing. So, Kat, why don't you get us started?
Hi, everybody. The model majority world. My name is Kat. I grew up in Modesto, which is the Central Valley of California. Contrary to popular belief, it is diverse there in Modesto. I come from a Cambodian refugee family. I myself was born in the United States, so I always understood the different sort of struggles and the privileges of being born a U.S. citizen versus having to earn it. Then I went to UC Davis and studied psychology and Asian American studies, and then I made my way to the California State Legislature just down the road from where I went to school. Just really passionate about public service in general, and also just working on that systemic level.
Okay.
And very passionate about Asian Pacific American politics.
Right. Wonderful. Jenny, how about you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny. I work with Kat in the API Legislative Caucus on the Senate side, housed in Senator Pan's office. My background, I was born in Massachusetts and moved to California at a really young age and to Sacramento Middle School. So I grew up in Sacramento, which is also a very diverse city. I attended Intercom High School, which is one of the most diverse high schools in the country. Afterward, I stayed local since my parents live here and attended Sacramento State University, where I originally studied accounting but fell in love with politics and government after taking a lot of electives in political theory. So after that, I volunteered on a lot of campaigns. I joined the College Democrats. I volunteered a lot with the California Young Democrats, and from there I just constantly worked on local and statewide campaigns, traveled all over California with a lot of young Democrats. I got involved with the community by a lot of city council races, and here we are.
Yeah.
And, like Kat, and I think it's necessary when doing this job is having a passion for API policy, politics, and also just social justice within the API community. I think it's really important. I've had a passion in it since observing how my parents have gone through the political process, being immigrants from the Vietnam War.
Absolutely. Interesting. So I was talking to Rob Bonta earlier today about the history of this summit. So I think it used to be kind of this every year or every other year you have a summit type thing, or like and in the middle you have like a listening type conference where it kind of like trades off with each other. And then for 6 years it didn't really happen, and now we're bringing it back. Could you give us some background in terms of why and how we brought this event back? What was the impetus of that?
Sure. So from 2004, I believe, to 2012, a API Policy Summit was convened every single year. So we invited the API Legislative Caucus in partnership with a few community organizations, statewide community organizations, would convene here in Sacramento, and we would talk about a variety of issues impacting the API community. And it was an opportunity for people to really come together and learn about the issues, and also to advocate at the state capitol and show our presence, our being the API presence. And so it took a little hiatus from 2012 until this year in 2018. And last year, the API Legislative Caucus decided to do listening tours, where they went to 7 different regions of the state to see those regions, and also to listen to community members, community leaders, elected officials about some of the issues that were happening there, and how the API Legislative Caucus can support what their issues are, any challenges, any issues, like I said, that we could support.
Right.
So the reason why we brought back the API Policy Summit is because there were some common themes across the state, and we thought, how powerful would it be if we can learn from each other and we can talk about maybe creating a larger strategy. So if there was an issue happening in Orange County, how can we relate that to what's happening in San Jose? Right? Like in Santa Clara County, they may be having those same issues. So how do we cross and bridge those movements and make it a stronger one, a united one together?
Right.
So at this API Policy Summit, we're hoping that is the kind of chemistry that is created here, so that we could start having a united voice, or continue having a united voice for the API communities. And
Right.
I just think it's a unique space to be in. We did partner with several different organizations to bring this one back on. AppCon, the AAPI Data, the California Commission on API Affairs, Empowering Pacific Islander Communities, the Southeast Asia Resource Action Center, and Asian Americans Advancing Justice California.
Gotcha.
So we had really strong partners to really help bring this back, and they also, community members have been asking for this. Ever since we stopped doing it, people really just were so eager to get together with other people in different regions.
Got it. What were some common themes that you were talking about during the listening tour that did emerge that maybe was the reason why we have certain panels on certain topics? Is that how we kind of organize the programs of this summit?
Yes, a lot of common themes were on issues like immigration, education, also our elderly APIs. So a lot of people were able to relate because a lot of us culturally take care of our families until adulthood. So those were among some of the topics that were brought up during the listening tours.
Yeah, and another topic that it was a common theme was leadership development.
Yeah.
And leadership development, and also just develop like both local development and state development. So how can people start getting engaged in policy areas across the state, but also how can they engage locally? People just wanted to know more about the process. And so bringing them here to Sacramento, showing them the process, getting them engaged in the process makes it less intimidating. And having the API Legislative Caucus members here addressing them makes them feel more welcome into the world of policymaking.
Interesting. Right. So in a way, this policy summit isn't just to talk strictly about policy in and of itself, but to kind of introduce community members or would-be activists or community folks that engaging with politicians is not that scary. It's not supposed to be scary. In fact, they're supposed to work for you.
Yes.
So you're supposed to talk to them if you have grievances, right? And issues you want to fight about. Now, what are your hopes for kind of the outcome of this summit? Or is there already plans to, keep this thing going for every single year going forward so we don't have a 6-year hiatus? Like, what's the thought behind that?
So we plan to hold this every other year.
Yeah.
So the next one will be in 2020. In the off years, we will be going back into the communities and doing our listening tours.
Gotcha.
Our hope is for our participants to run for office, to get involved in their local areas, and also for me, it would be great if we could start building a statewide agenda, getting people excited about policy and to come up to the Capitol, do the advocacy, weigh in on bills, we need to be present, both visibly and also, just writing letters, petitions, things like that, so that people aren't just casting Asian Americans aside.
Right. Does the writing letter stuff still work?
I think it does.
Yeah.
It's pretty impactful, and we get large quantity of them on certain issues, and it's great to be able to bring that to the table when we do talk about policy or talk to members about it, so that they can see that people out there do care. Our API community does have a voice, and it really does matter.
Right. Well, you guys heard it from both Kat and Jenny. Writing those letters still work.
And signing petitions work too.
Signing petitions.
Signing petitions.
And coming and being present.
Calling. Anything to show your presence.
Phone calls, signing things, physically coming to members' offices. They have to let you in, so don't be afraid to show your physical presence. Don't just tweet stuff, though you can do that too. But well, thank you, Kat. Thank you, Jenny, for joining me on the podcast today, and thank you for hosting this wonderful summit and having us.
Thank you.